I've just turned this build into a tier 100 god build. This is literally one of the best builds I've made in this game, one of the funnest builds that you can actually use in Diablo right now. And all you need to do is get this one unique, the Lidless Wall, and you will be doing tier 100s with ease. So as mentioned, if you're new here, we're using the Lidless Wall. You do need this unique just to be able to tank the tier 100s. Basically what this unique does is that it drops Bone Storms when you have an active Bone Storm. So once you pop Bone Storm, if you hit an enemy, you have a lucky hit chance to drop more Bone Storms. Depending on the roll you got, when you sacrifice your minions, which we will be doing, you'll get 25 for each sacrificed minion. So you have a base set of 75 if you sacrificed all of them. And then you can get up to another 25% if you have the highest roll. I do not. I only have 10%, and I've not been managed to get another one higher than 10%. So we're currently at 85%, but if you have the 25% roll, you'll have 100, and that's what you're looking for. So the helmet that I'm using is the Deathless Unique. The unique ability on this helmet is that Bone Spear leaves behind echoes as it travels that explode, dealing a certain amount of damage. The thing is, you do not need this helmet. I use this helmet just to get a small bit more damage, but it is not needed whatsoever. If you don't want to use this helmet, you can always just use a normal legendary helmet with the aspect of Might. The aspect of Might gives your basic skills 20% damage reduction for up to 6 seconds. The thing is, I do switch between the Deathless Unique and the aspect of Might helmet just because it's good for certain situations. For example, if you're running through a dungeon and you need more damage reduction, I will switch to the aspect of Might. But if I'm fighting a boss, which I know that I'm able to tank the damage, I will switch to the Deathless Unique so I'm able to kill the boss faster. The perks that I use for my helmet is cooldown reduction, maximum life, intelligence, and total armor. I also have a ruby gem socketed on this helmet to give me more maximum life. The chest armor that I use is the aspect of Disobedience. This aspect gives you 0.50% increased armor for 4 seconds when you deal any form of damage, stacking up to 30%. This is very good to tank these tier 100 dungeons, so I would recommend this. The other perks that I have on this is damage reduction from close enemies, damage reduction, maximum life, and bone skill damage. I also have 2 ruby gems socketed on this armor just to give me more maximum life. So for our gloves, we're using the aspect of Grasping Veins. So we're using this aspect over the one that we used to use, Cadaverous Aspect, because we're now using Corpse Tendrils more in this build. So Grasping Veins gives you a 20% increased critical strike chance for 6 seconds when you cast Corpse Tendrils, but you also deal 40% increased critical strike damage to enemies damaged by Corpse Tendrils. The perks that you want on this is critical strike chance, lucky hit chance, 4 ranks of Bone Spear, and critical strike damage with bone skills. Now the plants that we use is the aspect of Shielding Storm. Each time that Bone Storm damages an enemy, gain a barrier equal to 5% of your base life for 10 seconds. This aspect is a must-have for this build. It's the one that completes the whole build. The perks that we have on this is damage reduction from distant enemies, damage reduction, maximum life, and 4 ranks of Blood Mist. We also have 2 ruby gems socketed to get more maximum life. For our boots, we're using the aspect of Audacity. When there are at least 5 close enemies, stun them for 4 seconds. This can occur once every 20 seconds. We used to use the aspect of Explosive Mist, which you can still use on this build. But I just prefer this one because it will help stun enemies if they're all around me and I need to get out of the sticky situation. So I would recommend this aspect, but don't be afraid to use the aspect of Explosive Mist. It's still very good and it will come in handy if you just want to switch it up. The perks that I have on this one is 40% movement speed for 4 seconds after killing an elite just to be faster, dodge chance, and dexterity and damage reduction while injured. For our weapon, we're using a wand. You want the wand just to have the 15% lucky hit chance because you will need lucky hit chance for this build. The aspect that I'm using is the Splintering aspect. Bone Spear's primary attack makes enemies hit beyond the first vulnerable for 2.5 seconds. Bone Shards from Bone Spear deal 60% bonus damage to vulnerable enemies and pierce them. This is a very good aspect and I would highly recommend it for this build. The perks on this weapon as well is vulnerable damage, critical strike damage, core skill damage, and intelligence. And the gem that I use on this weapon is an emerald, where my critical strike damage to vulnerable enemies is increased by 12%. Now the shield that I'm using is of course Lidless Wall. This shield is what you need for this build just to make it as strong as it is. I put a ruby as the gem just to get more maximum life, because more life will just help you survive longer. Now the amulet that I use is the aspect of Serration. This aspect increases the critical strike damage of your bone skills by 1% per essence above 60%. You will always have your essence up, so don't be worried about this. It's a very good passive aspect to have and I would highly recommend it. The perks that we have on this is essence cost reduction, damage reduction, 3 ranks of the Evulsion passive, and lucky hit chance. While you have a barrier, we always have a barrier, so this is just very nice to have. And since we're playing in Season 1, we have access to Wrathful Hearts, and the heart that I use is Heart of the Barber, just to get more critical damage. So for our first ring, we're using the Edgemaster's aspect. We used to use the sacrificial aspect, but I felt like it wasn't giving us enough, so I decided to change it up to this one, where this aspect gives us more damage depending on how much primary resources we have available. The perks that I have on this is physical damage, critical strike damage, lucky hit chance, and critical strike damage with bone skills. And once again, since we're playing on a season, we have access to these hearts, and the heart that we're using is the Vicious Heart. When you walk near a corpse, it automatically activates one of your equipped corpse skills. This heart is very good because we will be using corpse tendrils, and if you combine this heart with the aspect of Grasping Veins, you will be able to get that 40% critical damage every few seconds when that heart activates. And for our second ring, we're using the aspect of Exposed Flesh. We used to use the Gale aspect where you consume corpses, but I took it off because it was getting me killed a lot in tier 100 dungeons. So I took it off and I decided to put on this one. So this aspect has up to a 10% chance to generate 50 essence when hitting a vulnerable enemy. Our build is going to be making all enemies vulnerable, so don't worry about it. It's very good and you will always have your essence up. The perks that I have on this ring is maximum life, critical strike damage, lucky hit chance, and critical strike damage with bone skills. And once again, since we're playing on Season 1, we have access to hearts, and I'm using the Vicious Heart where I gain 77 critical strike damage, but my non-critical strikes deal less damage. Now for Book of the Dead, I sacrificed the Skirmisher skeletons, the Cold skeletons, and the Iron Golem. The reason you want to sacrifice the Skirmishers is your critical strike chance is increased by 5%. The reason you would want to sacrifice Skeleton Mages is because you deal 15% increased damage to vulnerable enemies. And the reason you would want to sacrifice your Iron Golem is because you will deal 30% increased critical strike damage. So for our skill tree, we're going to start off with our basic skill, which is going to be Bone Splinters. You're only going to put 1 rank into Bone Splinters and put a rank into Enhance Bone Splinters. For our core skill, you're going to be using Bone Spear. You're going to be putting 5 ranks to the Bone Spear. And as you can see, it has a lucky hit chance of 50%. This is going to be our main ability just to drop them Bone Storms. You're also going to want to put Enhance Bone Spear on and Paranormal Bone Spear. Once you have that, you're going to go on up to Unaliven Energy just to get more essence, and then you're going to pick Imperfectly Balanced just so your core skills do more damage. And once you have that, you're going to come down to the Flesh. I only put 2 ranks into this just to get 8% chance to create corpses at the target's location. Now you're going to come down to Corpse Skills and you're going to be putting 1 rank into Blood Mist. Then you're going to be picking up Enhanced Blood Mist and then Ghastly Blood Mist. You're going to be picking Blood Mist just so you don't die in sticky situations in the tier 100 dungeons. There's going to be a lot of hard hitting enemies, and if you see them about to attack, you can pop it and it will save your life. Once you have that, you're going to come down to Corpse Explosion. You're going to put 1 rank into that. You're going to get Enhanced Corpse Explosion and Blighted Corpse Explosion. Once you have that, you're going to then go down to Grim Harvest. Consuming a corpse generates 2 essence, and then you're going to be putting 3 ranks into Fueled by Death. You deal 9% increased damage for 6 seconds after consuming a corpse, which is very good. Now we're going to move down to Curse skills. You're going to be picking up Death's Embrace just so you can do more damage to close enemies and take less damage to them. And then you're going to be picking up Death's Reach, where you do more damage to distant enemies. Now you're going to move down to the next section of Corpse skills, and we're going to be picking up Corpse Tendrils. You're going to be picking up Enhanced Corpse Tendrils and Plagued Corpse Tendrils. Since we have the heart to activate Corpse skills, we're going to be activating Corpse Tendrils all the time, which is making enemies vulnerable, and it's going to save you a lot, especially when the enemies have the suppressor effect on them. This is going to stun them so you can get into the bubble and damage them. You're also going to want to put 3 ranks into Serration, Compound Fracture, and Evulsion. And since our Corpse Explosion ability is now a Darkness skill, you're going to be putting 3 ranks into Reaper's Pursuit, where when you damage an enemy with a Darkness skill, your movement is increased. This is just going to help you get around the dungeon faster and keep your Bone Storm up. Now for ultimate skills, you're of course going to be picking up Bone Storm, Prime Bone Storm, and Supreme Bone Storm. You're going to want all of them, because Bone Storm is going to give you damage reduction, which you will need for the higher tiers, and you also get critical strike chance, which is always good. You're also going to be picking up Standalone. It increases damage reduction by 18%, reduced by 2% for each active minion. Since we have no active minions, we're always going to have 18% damage reduction. And you're also going to be picking up Momentum Mori. Sacrificing both Skeleton Warriors and Skeleton Mages increases their sacrifice bonuses by 60%. And for our key passives, we're going to be picking Ossified Essence. This is going to go well with our aspect of Serration. It's going to boost one another, and we're going to be doing amazing damage when we're doing these dungeons. Now we're going to move on to the Paragon Board. You're going to start right here on this node and work our way up to the first rare node. You're going to get the rare node next to it. Then you're going to go up to the glyph. The glyph that we're using is the Gravekeeper glyph. It gives you more damage, more armor, more intelligence. It basically buffs the rare nodes around us. So you're going to be picking up the rare node to our left and to our right, and then you're going to go up to the next board. Now the next board that we use is Bone Graft. You're going to have Bone Graft over to our right. So as you can see right here, you're going to make your way over to Bone Graft. You're going to pick it up, and then you're going to get the node above it. Then you're going to make your way back to where the board starts and just work your way up to the node to our left. You're going to pick that up and then just work your way up to the middle. Pick this node up, and then you're going to go up to this node right here. Going to pick up this node, and then we're going to go to the glyph, which is Exploit. Once you socketed Exploit and you have all the nodes that you need around it, then you're going to make your way down to the next board. The next board is Scent of Death. Scent of Death is going to be directly in the middle where I have it right there. So when you start on this board, you're just going to come down and pick up this rare node here. Then you're going to make your way back up, and you're going to pick up this rare node, and then you're going to socket the glyph Imbibber. Once you socketed this glyph, you're then going to go over to this node. When you pick up that node, you're going to work your way down and actually pick up the legendary node Scent of Death. Then you're going to make your way over to this node right here and pick up the maximum life. Then you're going to make your way back over to Scent of Death and go down to this node just to get more critical strike damage. Once you have that, you're going to make your way back up to the glyph. You're then going to go up and onto the next board. So the next board is Flesh Eater. Flesh Eater is going to be directly in the middle there. So when you start on this board, you're going to make your way up straight to the glyph. The glyph that we're using is Sacrificial, where it boosts the magic nodes around us. So you're going to go and pick up the intelligence, the resistance to all elements, and then the magic nodes right here. You're then going to make your way up to the next node, and you're also going to be picking up the legendary node right here, and then you're going to work your way up to the next board. And the last board that we're using is Bloodbath. You're going to want to have it rotated in the way that the glyph is over to your left. You're going to put in Essence, and you're going to get more critical strike damage. From here, you're just going to want to get all the dexterity around here. And that is it for the Paragon board. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. As you can see, this build is very capable of doing a tier 100 dungeons. It can easily go through it without you dying. And it's just a very overall fun build to use. Because you're not standing in the back of the room. You're actually getting in on the action. You're taking all of this damage and you're absolutely annihilating people with damage. So if you did enjoy what you saw, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one. Thank you and goodbye.